What's going on, guys? Today I'm back with another H.A.T format replay review for you guys. If you're interested in sending in your H.A.T format replays, you can go down to the video description and find all the information on how to go about sending those in. Anyways, the match I have for you today, we have Salchidevo88, sorry if I mispronounced your name, who's kind of on like a TG stun pile deck. You kind of just have to see to understand what I mean by that. Versus Coca-Cola9, who is going to be on Twilight. So two very interesting decks, and hopefully this will be a good match, but the only way to find out is to actually watch it, so let's get straight into it. Here, it looks like Salchidevo is going to start this one out. Opening hands, we see TG Rush Rhino, Pot of Dichotomy, Needle Sealing, TG Striker, and Firehand. And on the other side, we see Wyverburster, Lila, Charge of the Light Brigade, Armageddon Knight, and Dark Grepher. So very interesting hands from both players. This Twilight hand is very, very strong. And here's, I'll just call them Sal. Sal is going to draw for turn, getting a copy of Soul Charge, and from here it looks like they are going to set Firehand and just pass, holding the copy of Needle Sealing here, and here Coca-Cola draws into a copy of Black Dragon Collapse Serpent. They're going to activate Charge of the Light Brigade, sending Breakthrough Skill Upstart and Raiden, and adding a copy of Lumina here, and after that they're going to normal Lumina, discarding the copy of Grepher, and specialing out a copy of Raiden, using the effect milling a copy of Upstart and another Grepher. After that, synchroing for a copy of Michael, which they're going to pay 1,000 life points to banish that copy of Firehand. After that, banishing a light and a dark, to summon both the Black Dragon and White Dragon here. And going to battle phase, okay, nice. So doing quite a lot of damage here, honestly. And let's see what they choose to do after that. Okay, just making sure all that damage is in. Oh, just going to end phase, so not overlaying these or anything else. I guess they didn't really have much else they could do, but maybe not leaving these on board would have been good. Though I guess if these do get destroyed, they can grab other copies of themselves. Or, well, I should say that White Dragon grabs a Black Dragon grabs a White Dragon, so you do gain some advantage out of that. But anyways, the Michael here is going to be milling a couple cards. And, Plague Spreader Engrave is pretty good. Here, Sal draws into a copy of Trap Hole Nightmare. And if anything, now by leaving these on board, this copy of Needle Sealing does gain a little more pressure and advantage from that. And here, they're taking a minute to think, and let's see, they are going to special summon TG Striker, which says if only your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, all the TG monsters, when they are destroyed on the field and sent to graveyard during the end phase, you'll be able to add a, another TG monster from your deck to your hand. After that, though, they are just going to set the copy of Rhino and set the Needle Sealing and Trap Hole Nightmare. Here, Coca-Cola gets a copy of BLS, and let's see if they choose to fire this Needle Sealing right away to clear everything here, which wouldn't be terrible. But again, if Coca-Cola does commit into an Xyz now, then they won't really gain anything from these Black and White Dragons, especially once this Needle Sealing comes down. But let's see. No, they're just allowing Coca-Cola to go to main phase, and here the Michael is going to use its effect, banishing the face down, getting rid of that Rhino, and then going to battle phase. Oh, little misclick there. I think they were trying to go for this Needle Sealing here, which they are going to do, clearing out everything. And here the Black and White Dragon are going to trigger, so they do get those copies. And Sal does see that, and they are just going to scoop it up. They realize they are kind of outclassed in this match. So moving on into game number 2, we see Pot of Duality, Black Horn of Heaven, Call the Haunted, Banisher, and Dichotomy. And on the other side, we see Upstart, Soul Charge, Malicious, Wing Blast, and Soul Charge. So definitely a weaker hand here from Coca-Cola, and a very different looking hand from Sal here, who you can't really even tell they're on the same deck other than the Dichotomy here. And here they draw into a copy of Imperial Ironwall. Okay, activating Duality, revealing the Dark Black Horn and Trap Hole Nightmare. Taking the copy of Dark Hole, they saw how out of hand Coca-Cola's deck can get. And after that, setting 3 and passing. Okay, so not even going for the Banisher is kind of interesting, though I guess it would somewhat conflict with the Iron Wall here. So taking it a little slower here, Coca-Cola gets gets a copy of Breakthrough Skill, my apologies, activates Upstart, getting a copy of Raiden, which is pretty solid to get started, summons it, uses the effect, and doesn't really hit anything there, but goes to battle phase, does a bit of damage before setting 2 over to Sal, who gets a copy of Dimensional Prison. Here, the Dark Hole's going to come down early, trying to shut them out of cards very early here. And then, oh, they forgot to mill in the end phase there, if I'm not mistaken, because they went Upstart and then sent these two. And yeah, okay, so they forgot to mill there. And after that, it looks like Banisher is going to be summoned and going to battle phase, just attacking in. What were those mills again? Okay, so hitting a Zephyros was pretty solid there, and definitely something that you don't want to forget in the Lightsworn deck. But anyways, or I shouldn't say the Lightsworn deck, but any deck that is playing a Lightsworn engine. Here, though, Coca-Cola gets a copy of Plague Spreader Zombie, which is very good here because they do have this breakthrough skill, so they can break through the copy of Banisher, use the Wing Blast, discarding the Mally, putting a card back on top, and then they can kind of from there have the Mally plus Plague Spreader combos. So let's see if that is what they choose to do. So far, so good, activating that breakthrough skill, and then using the Wing Blast, discarding the Mally to put a card back on top of the deck. And from here, Iron Wall is activated right away. And, you know, it's kind of funny because here the Wing Blast did put back the copy of Dimensional Prison, so it makes sense to activate that Iron Wall here, and it's going to stop this copy of Mally. So now Coca-Cola's in a weird spot. Here they are going to go for a Soul Charge play, bringing back the Mally Zephyros and the copy of Raiden, using Raiden to hit a BLS and Thrasher to graveyard. After that, normal summoning the copy of Plague Spreader and synchroing into a copy of Beals, but here we do see that Blackhorn come down, and after that, it looks like Coca-Cola is going to overlay into a copy of Exiton. They're going to use the Exiton, blowing up the board here because, you know, they had less cards. After that, they can now activate that copy of Mally, banishing it to summon another from deck, and then go for the Plague Spreader Zombie, putting back the Soul Charge and summoning back the copy of Plague, synchroing for a Stardust Spark Dragon, and then passing it over. Here, Sal draws that copy of Dimensional Prison that had been stacked off the Wing Blast. They're just going to set it and pass. Here, Coca-Cola gets their copy of Soul Charge that was stacked with the Plague Spreader, just going to battle phase and attacking in. And here, the Dimensional Prison is going to banish the Stardust Spark, and they're just going to pass it over. Sal gets a copy of Mirror Force, sets it, passes. Coca-Cola gets a copy of Mally, goes to battle phase, attacks in. Here, Sal gets a copy of Treptrick Trephole Nightmare. They're going to set it and pass, so very slow game. Here, Coca-Cola gets a copy of Raiden, and let me just check the grave here. Yeah, so the only monster in grave is Banisher for Sal, so this dichotomy isn't really live here, unfortunately. Life is just about even for both of these players, but now Coca-Cola is going to summon that copy of Raiden using the effect sending Greffer and Charge before going into battle phase, and here we are going to see that Mirror Force activated, clearing the board over to Sal, who now gets a copy of Fossil Dyna, so summoning that and just poking in for some damage. You know, the Twilight deck does have a lot of monsters that want to be special summoned, for example, the Mallies, or even stuff like BLS, Chaos Sork, Thrasher. So, you know, Coca-Cola is going to need one of those better normal summons. Here we already do see was 2 Raidens and a Greffer in grave, as well as the Zephyros. So, you know, they're going to need something to out it, though they do have the breakthrough skill in graveyard, so they could easily turn this off if need be. And here getting an Upstart, drawing into another copy of breakthrough skill, and they're going to banish it to negate the Fossil Dyna before going for a Soul Charge play for 2 copies of Raiden. Very low in life now, though. And here, Raiden's going to activate, sending a copy of Lila and Thrasher, overlaying into a Lavaval Chain, and using the effect, but Treptrick Trephole Nightmare is going to activate, and that is going to make Coca-Cola scoop it up. So moving on into a game number 3, this time Coca-Cola is going to get the chance to start this one out. Opening hands, we see Needle Sealing, Banisher, TG, Rush Rhino, Solemn Warning, and Needle Sealing. So definitely a hand that would have been a little better going first. And on the other side, we see Solar Recharge, Dark Greffer, Soul Charge, Mally, and Soul Charge. So Not the greatest hand here from Coca-Cola, but at the same time, I guess it is kind of fine because at bare minimum, just before they even draw, they could go summon Greffer, discard the Mally, send a copy of Plague, banish the Mally to summon another from deck, put back one of these soul charges or something on top of the deck to resummon the copy of Plague Spreader and synchro 4 in 8. But here they do get another copy of Solar Recharge, so not the greatest there either, but they are going to go for that play that I kind of mentioned there. So they do have that mindset here, going for the Mally to, at bare minimum, shuffle away that copy of Solar Recharge that they wouldn't want to see here either, and then synchroing for a copy of Beals in defense position, passing it over to Sal, who gets a copy of Trapple Nightmare. From here, they're going to normal summon the TG Rush Rhino and crash into the copy of Greffer. Does this gain some bonus, right? If this card attacks, it gains 400 attack during the damage step only, so that is how this is able to clear the copy of Greffer here. Moving on into main phase 2 though, and here it looks like Sal is going to set some back row, and it's still going to be really hard to out this copy of Beals. Coca-Cola draws into a copy of Armageddon Knight. They're going to normal summon it and use the effect to send another copy of Plague Spreader, using the Plague Spreader in graveyard, putting back, I believe that was the other Solar Recharge, going for another Mally and synchroing yet again, this time for a copy of Scrap Dragon, but that is going to be met with Solemn Warning, because if not, that can get out of control with Scrap Dragon just clearing everything, and, you know, stuff like the Beals on board. And here, let's see, they are going to switch the Beals to attack and attack into that Rush Rhino, and then Armageddon Knight is going to attack in for some damage. End phase Rush Rhino is going to add a copy of Striker here, and then here it looks like Sal draws into a copy of TG Warwolf, and they are going to set the Needle Ceiling, set the Warwolf, and pass it over to Coca-Cola, who gets a copy of Trap Stun, so that could come up very soon, you know, into all this back row. And anyways, after that, main phase 2 setting 2, and then Warwolf will trigger in the end phase, getting a copy of Rush Rhino. So having endless amounts of monsters here, and then for turn, drawing into a copy of Torrential. And let's see what they choose to do here. They're going to start by special summoning Striker and just setting the copy of Rush Rhino in the back row. So it's going to be a slow game here. It looks like here Coca-Cola drew into a Rhoda and then activates it to get a copy of Armageddon Knight, summons the Armageddon Knight, and that is going to proc Sal to activate this Needle Ceiling, and Trap Stun's chained to that. But the second Needle Ceiling is going to clear out the face-up monsters. Very important that this only clears face up. Obviously, the Beals can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. And the Armageddon at the end of all that is sending this copy of Zephyros. And let's see what they choose to do here. They're going to go for a Soul Charge play. Okay, going for Armageddon Knight, Greffer, and a copy of Zephyros. So going for a very big play here, activating double Armageddon Knight, sending, it looks like they're just trying to clear out some cards before going into a Diamond Direwolf. And here they're popping itself and the Rush Rhino, just clearing the monsters before going for a Dweller. And here, oh, it looks like they said only one, so maybe they only sent off of one of the Armageddon Knights there, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Sal really is not in a good position here, getting a copy of Dark Hole, which they can activate, but they don't have anything like a breakthrough skill or anything like that, so they really can't out this Beals here. And the Dark Hole is going to clear a bit. They are chaining the Dweller, setting the copy of Banisher. Here, Coca-Cola gets a copy of Trap Stun, and just going to battle phase, running over the Banisher, setting the Trap Stun. Yet again, we will see Sal have another copy of Banisher, which is going to get set as well. Over to Coca-Cola, getting a copy of Solar Recharge, going battle phase, and here they get a copy of Mermail, setting the Mermail. You know, it seems like this might just be the end once they run out of monsters, and they finally run out of monsters. They just really could not out that copy of Beals. I'm wondering if they play like Soul Charge and stuff, because a Soul Charge could have done a lot of work in this matchup. You know, looking at what they had in Graveyard, they had plenty of, you know, level 3 monsters. They had some 4s, maybe even the possibility for some synchro plays. And, you know, they had Torrential and the Trapple Nightmare, so they had stuff to do afterwards. But yeah, they just could not out this copy of Beals. Very interesting deck though, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it, comment any questions or videos you want to see in the future, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified anytime I put a new video out, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to go down to the video description to find out how you can send in your H.A.T format replays, whether you won or lost. If you thought the deck you or your opponent was playing was pretty cool, feel free to send those in. I'm sure a lot of people would love to see them. But anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video.